PlayStation Plus games leaving, Elden Ring and Stray lead GDC awards, Guerrilla partners with external studio for more Horizon, The Last of Us Part 3 may not happen after all that and more in today's PlayStation news. Let's get into them. PlayStation Plus games leaving soon. Ahead of Sony's next PlayStation Plus announcement, which will include the essential games for February, we have new games leaving the game catalog for Extra, Deluxe and Premium users. Metro Exodus, Saints Row the Third, Pure Farming 2018, and Whispering Willows joined the list that already had GTA Vice City Definitive Edition, Skydrift Infinity, The Book of Unwritten Tales 2, Agatha Christie The ABC Murders, Rat Rogers, Cinemora EX, Sparkle Unleashed, and The Turing Test. All 12 games should leave when the next batch of PS Plus game catalog titles enter on February 21st, so if you're interested in any of them, it's your last chance to play. And we already know one game is being removed in March, which is WWE 2K22 on the 13th. Sly 2K is removing it before they launch the new one. Stay tuned to the channel because we should have the PS Plus update next week announcing the essential games for February. Will you be playing any of these games before they leave? Sound off in the comments. Sony Readies to combat online harassment. A new patent spotted by top tier lists via Resetera indicates Sony may be developing a method of verifying behavior associated with the play of a game. The patent continues, the method further includes analyzing by an artificial intelligence model the behavior of the first player to determine whether the behavior is abusive. The operation of analyzing whether the behavior of the first player is abusive is performed to determine whether the characterization of the first player is accurate. The patent also points out Fortnite as an online game that has abusive players. This could all be in response to a letter from US politicians to game companies such as Sony, Microsoft and Epic that urge them to combat toxicity in games. PS5 firmware already has some ways to combat harassment by allowing people to report a player at a party, while the party system may record voice calls as proof. The more tools we have to combat toxicity in games, the better. What do you think? Voice your opinion in the comments. Elden Ring and Stray lead GDC awards. The Game Developers Conference organization has announced the nominees for their Game Awards ceremony, with Elden Ring and Stray leading the charge. Both games have been nominated for 6 categories including Game of the Year, Best Audio, Best Design, Innovation, Visual Art, Best Tech for Elden Ring, and Best Debut for Stray. The full list of nominees for Game of the Year are Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Immortality, Pentiment, Stray, and Tunic. God of War Ragnarok this time managed to get 5 nominations including Game of the Year, Best Audio, Best Narrative, Best Technology, and Best Visual Art. Horizon Forbidden West also made the list with 3 nominations for Best Audio, Best Technology, and Best Visual Art. The Game Developers Conference takes place in March and the award ceremony will be live streamed on March 22nd. Who do you think wins Game of the Year? Place your bets in the comments. Guerrilla partners with external studio for more Horizon. Guerrilla Games are hard at work on several projects in the Horizon universe and have partnered with an external studio for help developing them. Studio Gobo is a UK team who have helped in the making of games such as Hogwarts Legacy, Redfall and more, and has announced recruiting to fill roles in their co-development venture with Guerrilla. Upcoming Horizon projects include the Burning Shores DLC, Call of the Mountain for PSVR 2, an upcoming co-op multiplayer game revealed by Guerrilla late last year, and a rumored MMORPG that may be in partnership with NCSoft. So Sony has big plans for the franchise in the coming years. Which projects are you looking forward to the most? Let us know in the comments. The Last of Us Part 3 may not happen after all. The popularity of The Last of Us has skyrocketed with the new TV series and has boosted game sales, and you may think it's a given this brings Naughty Dog back for a Part 3, but that might not be the case. In an interview with BuzzFeed, Naughty Dog president, director and series co-creator Neil Druckmann commented on the possibility of a third part, saying, "I know there's a bunch of people wondering about The Last of Us Part 3 and whether that will be a thing or not. All I could say is at Naughty Dog we're very privileged that our publisher is Sony. They have supported us every step of the way to follow our passions, meaning that just because something is successful people think there's all this pressure and we have to make a sequel. That's not the case." Besides that, he pointed out Uncharted as a franchise they worked on, but moved away in favor of The Last of Us, and the same could happen for the latter. He did mention the way a Part 3 could happen is if the team can come up with a compelling story that has a universal message and a statement about love. But if not, they have a very strong ending with Part 2 and that will be the end. Despite Druckmann previously confirming a Last of Us Part 3 script already exists, these not only tell us they may move away from The Last of Us, but confirms they are done with Uncharted for good as well if you needed confirmation. I would be really happy if Part 3 happens, but it's also true that it's not needed as Part 2 had a great ending with a deep message, and the story about the world can be moved forward in the upcoming Factions multiplayer. It's also great they are not forced to continue making more of the same just because it's popular and can put effort into their next big franchise. But what do you think? Would you like a Last of Us Part 3 or prefer it to end the way it did? Share with us in the comments. The Last of Us TV series reveals ideas that didn't make it into the game. In related Last of Us news, Rogue One talked about content that never made it into the Last of Us games and the TV show. The series co-creator spoke with Variety about Ashley Johnson's upcoming appearance in the TV series, which he's very excited about, and said he wrote a short story about the character after the original game shipped. It was supposed to be an animated short, but it fell apart and didn't come to be. There was a moment where we almost made it as DLC, but it fell apart. Druckmann then brought the idea to Craig and he was excited by it, which is how it made it to the TV series. Likewise, Craig spoke in the HBO podcast after the show's second episode on how they wrote a backstory for Tess that never made it. She had a husband and a son who were both infected and was forced to kill her husband but couldn't kill her son. The story was even filmed for a cold open and Tess would tell both Joel and Ellie about it. With the success of the first 2 episodes of the series, we are almost guaranteed a Season 2 announcement at any point, and star Bella Ramsey also believes the same as per an interview with BBC. If people keep watching, I think a second series is pretty likely. It's down to the guys at HBO. The TV series continues to be an expanded retelling of the game, and it's what I love the most about it, and I like they even consider cut content from the games. What do you think? Let us know in the comments. PSVR 2 developer Happy the Device is not backwards compatible. Sony confirmed PSVR 2 was not going to be backward compatible a few months ago, and while the news had fans angry or disappointed, a Tetris Effect developer was really happy about it. Mark McDonald, producer for both Tetris Effect and Res Infinite, said he was happy about it because it was the excuse they needed to go back and do a full PS5 version. In an interview with GameIndustry.biz, he mentions how they were excited because superficial things like resolution and frame rate really matter in games like Tetris Effect and Res Infinite. I get what he means, and the difference in hardware should really make it in performance and quality, and while I haven't had VR, it's kind of the same worry you have when a new console generation starts, so I get why fans are upset. At least both Tetris Effect and Res Infinite have upgrade paths, albeit paid ones, but other games such as Moss 1 and 2 won't offer any options for people who already bought the games. Do you currently have VR games and are affected by this issue? Voice your opinion in the comments. Dead Space PS5 features detailed. The Dead Space remake is already here and maybe you have already played it by now, and developer EA Motive has detailed what you can expect in PS5 features. The DualSense is used to immerse players into Isaac's thrilling journey aboard the Ishimura, with several aspects like weapons, story events, and enemy attacks by using haptic feedback. Weapons like the Plasma Cutter, Flamethrower, or Pulse Rifle make use of the trigger effect when pressing them down. The Plasma Cutter even pushes back the trigger to ready the next shot, for example. Haptics is also used in Zero Gravity, so you can feel every step Isaac makes with his magnetic boots, and both Stasis and Kinesis skills get similar feedback. Finally, they also make use of the DualSense speaker for when you pick up items or refill Stasis. EA announced Dead Space Remake will have New Game Plus at launch, and the mode adds a level 6 advanced suit, new Phantom variant necromorphs, and a secret ending. The game is already out on PS5 to amazing reviews with a 90 on OpenCritic and an 89 on Metacritic after 71 and 54 reviews respectively. Most of them praise it as a superb remake that preserves the core experience while improving upon it in smart ways. Stay tuned cause livestreams will be back here on the channel this weekend to play through this reimagined horror classic. Will you be playing the remake at launch? Let us know in the comments. Now let's go for a round of quickfire game news. The new DualSense Edge controller is already out, and a teardown by Bots Controllers on Twitter shows the battery comparison between the Pro controller and the original DualSense. The Edge sports a much smaller battery that makes it last only 6 hours, a common complaint among some reviewers even if they praise the hardware's other features. Super Stardust Portable, a classic PSP game added to PlayStation Plus Deluxe and Premium back in June 2022, has now been updated with trophy support. Trophies were not mandated for classics to avoid the same issue that happened when PS2 Classic launched on PS4, and the list was underwhelming. So while some like Siphon Filter had them, not all did. This is great news, and hopefully more games are patched to support it, such as Capcom's Resident Evil Classic. Speaking of Resident Evil, RE4 Remake is just around the corner, and while there were some worries that it was going to be delayed due to a change in the Steam release date, and Capcom haven't talked more about it, the Japanese company reconfirmed the release date at the Arab Game Awards show. Capcom may be tight-lipped on details but have shared 4 new images that show the castle and could be getting ready to show more soon. Hitman 3 new freelancer update is now out, adding a new single-player mode with roguelike elements and randomized mechanics. It also rebrands the game as Hitman World of Assassination and gives any owner of Hitman 3 access to both the original Hitman and Hitman 2 for free. Anyone who doesn't own it can get it with a PS Plus discount, but remember that if you claim both Hitman 1 and 2 when they were free on Plus, you can import them into Hitman 3 with a free starter pack. Monfish has announced that Atomic Heart has gone gold ahead of its launch on February 21st. The upcoming FPS will put you in an alternate reality 1950s, where the advances in robotics shaped World War II differently. It also has some Bioshock vibes as well. And those are the PlayStation stories for today. What are your thoughts on them? Share them in the comments below, let me know your feedback by liking or disliking this video, check out other videos you may enjoy while you're here, and consider subscribing for more on PlayStation. Thank you so much for watching, my name is Joseph, this is Hype for Games, and let's get hype!